MK677, it's the most popular SARM, but guess what? It's not actually a SARM. It's something completely different, totally different. And in today's video, we're going to tell you exactly what it is, what it does, and what to expect when you run it. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the Nordic Lab YouTube channel. My name's AD West, and in today's video we're going to be talking about MK677. Now, it's not a SARM, and a lot of people actually think it is a SARM. So in today's video I'm just going to be going through absolutely everything that you need to know about MK677, just in case you were interested in doing some research on it, because it is one of those research compounds. But it's not a SARM, but it's sold as a SARM, but I would call it a research compound, just like SARMs and peptides and things like that. But it has a more specific name, which we'll get into. But before we get into it, remember, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not advising that you take any of these things that we talk about. These videos are just for your entertainment purposes only, and what you choose to do, the knowledge that you've attained by watching this video, is completely up to you. So now we've got that out of the way, let's get into it. So MK677, it's literally one of the most popular SARMs, but it's not a SARM. I've worked in bodybuilding supplement shops for years. I've been in the industry for years as well. And a lot of people, we get it that people, they don't know as much as us experts in the industry. You'll walk into a bodybuilding supplements shop and you'll say, hey, I'm looking to do some SARMs. And the guy behind the counter goes, oh, this is the most popular one. And he gives you MK677. And, you've gone in there asking for SARMs. You thought you'd been running a SARM, and it's not. Now, the thing is, the reason why it's good to know that it's not a SARM, we're not being pedantic, we're not trying to be clever by saying, oh, it's not really a SARM, you thought it was a SARM and you're wrong. There's a reason why I always stress, and a lot of people who know what they're talking about always stress it, that it's not a SARM, because, with SARMs, yes, there's different SARMs, but you can expect to get similar results from them. So bigger muscles, the ability to maybe make it feel like you've got higher testosterone levels, so more energy, more strength, better sex drive and things like that. But, MK677, it doesn't do that. It doesn't act like testosterone. It's not for building muscle, although it will help. It tends to go with SARMs or anabolic steroids. Some people, yes, they do run it on its own, but it tends to be ran with a SARM. So if you've ever done an MK677 only cycle because you wanted to do SARMs, your best option really is to do a SARM. If you're a beginner, Osterine's a good place to start. It's very strong. A lot of people think it's not strong just because, we always say it's a beginner SARM, but it's the reason why it's a beginner SARM is because actually it's pretty much, it reacts very well in the body. Most people don't get negative side effects from it, or they are very, very rare. And if you do get side effects, it's not as bad as taking an anabolic steroid. But yeah, an Osterine and MK677 cycle would be amazing, because obviously they do different things, but they work together in synergy to help you to get better results. Now, one of the most popular cycles is actually RAD 140 with MK677. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing what to expect when you take MK677, so that either if you're going to do an MK677 only cycle, or you're going to put it in with a SARM or a steroid, then you know what additional benefits you're going to get. Or if you're running it on its own, you'll know not to expect SARM-like or steroid-like results, and to expect slightly different results. So let's get into it. Right, so I've got a few notes because I don't want to miss anything out here. But MK677, it's also known as Ibutamoren, and it's not a SARM, it's a growth hormone secretagogue. Now, it could be called a ghrelin agonist as well, because it does bind to the ghrelin receptors, but most people call it a growth hormone secretagogue. And to be more simple, because we like things simple, it's a growth hormone booster. So what is growth hormone? Well, like SARMs, what SARMs do is they don't boost your testosterone. They just do things that are similar to testosterone. So, you could say SARMs are like testosterone, and MK677 is like growth hormone. Now, bodybuilders actually inject growth hormone, and there's loads of different forms. There's peptides as well that help you to produce more growth hormone, which we'll get into. If you like videos like this, we'll cover all the peptides, all the SARMs and things like that. So make sure you subscribe. But yeah, MK677, it makes your body produce more growth hormone. Now, it's developed by reverse pharmacology, and it is, like I say, it is exclusively sold as a SARM. So that's not really your fault if you thought it was a SARM. Most people say it's a SARM. Most companies sell it as a SARM. Most supplement shops actually don't know these things, you see. But it is important to know that it's a growth hormone secretagogue. So what it means is it basically tells your body to produce more growth hormone. So that's what a secretagogue does. So it says to your body, produce more growth hormone for me, please. And your body does it. So there's a difference when you buy growth hormone in the injectable form, you're actually injecting into you actual growth hormone. Whereas this tablet, MK677, it generally comes in tablet form. It just tells your body to make more of it. So the growth hormone you're getting from this is the best because it's produced in your body. Whereas sometimes when you get growth hormone, especially on the black market, either it might not be what it says it is, but it might not be as good as your own growth hormone. So that's what makes this good, but it's actually better for many reasons. Yes, you can run it with growth hormone as well, and that's for a more advanced video. But essentially, with injectable growth hormone, you could get fake stuff, yeah? So it's very difficult to get hold of. It's very expensive as well. You perhaps maybe go to Turkey and you'd be able to get the correct stuff, but you can't guarantee it. Whereas with MK677, especially if you get Nordic labs, we're all third-party tested, then you're getting genuine MK677. Now, what would you expect if you're running MK677? What do you expect to see in terms of results or whatever? So you'd expect to see an increase in appetite. So a lot of the sort of side effects, which a lot of them are positive, some of them only work for the first 2 weeks. So you increase in appetite. I don't tend to notice it, and I do cycle MK677 a lot. Every time I go on a cycle of anything, I put MK677 in. So I've run it loads of times. I've been taking these types of supplements, we'll call them, for about 8 years now. So yes, you'll see an increase in appetite. It might make you feel tired. A lot of people say, oh, well, you take it in the evening then, but don't take it in the evening. If you take it at night time, when you go to sleep, your body produces more growth hormone. That's when it really starts to kick in. If you take MK677 before you go to bed, your body becomes reliant on you taking MK677 in order to produce growth hormone. But if you take it in the morning, then you produce growth hormone because you took MK677 in the morning, and then it wears off, and then in the evening, then your body does that. But if your body gets used to you taking MK677 in the evenings, then it becomes dependent on you taking it in order to produce growth hormone. Because remember, your body was going to do it anyway. But once you've got your body used to you taking MK677, it's reliant on that. So when you stop it, your body's not going to produce as much growth hormone. So therefore, if you take it in the morning, your body doesn't produce growth hormone as much in the morning anyway. So it's the best time to take it. Yes, it might make you feel a little bit tired, but get up, do some star jumps, have a coffee, a Red Bull, whatever you fancy. It's one of those side effects that I never really noticed, but a lot of people say after 2 weeks it's fine. You would run MK677. I would say, you can run it. It's not like a SARM, you see, so you don't need to PCT unless you're running it with a SARM. And then we always recommend doing a PCT no matter what SARM you take. But if you are taking a SARM, or a steroid, then you will need to do a PCT unless you're on TRT or you're cruising on a base level of testosterone. I hope that made sense for you. So growth hormone has many benefits, and we do always recommend that you do your own research on these research compounds. But growth hormone has many benefits. You know, it can help your hair. I've got lots of friends who said the hair was falling out a lot. You know, they get it on the pillows and things like that, and then when they started taking either growth hormone or MK677, which makes you produce more growth hormone, the hair started falling out and the hair started to get a lot thicker. You should get better hair, skin, nails, more energy. You should be able to recover quicker from training. You know, long term, taking growth hormone or MK677 is anti-aging. You know, it's what all your celebrities take. Let's say all your celebrities. You know, top doctors, if you've got the money for a top doctor and you can afford anything, especially in America, they're going to say, hey, have you heard of this? It's called growth hormone or MK677 or whatever. And it's got many benefits, but one of them is obviously anti-aging. So it's really good for lots of things. I would recommend that you do some additional research, but in terms of training, it means you're going to recover quicker from training. So you're going to have more energy. You're going to be able to train harder the next time, or you're going to be able to just train more frequently or whatever, but it's just going to help you to grow quicker. It's not going to make you tall. You know, that's one thing a lot of people say. They'll say, oh yeah, how tall will I get if I take it? Your bones fuse. So when you get to a certain age, you know, anywhere between 15 and like 21, all your bones are fused, so you stop growing. That's why we stop growing. Now, if you took growth hormone as a child, it could increase your height, but it's very rare it's going to be anything over like a couple of inches. The only time kids get prescribed growth hormone is if they've got a growth hormone deficiency. But, you know, from my knowledge of people who have that deficiency, they still end up being small, even though they're smashing the growth hormone. You know, they get sent growth hormone pens. I know when I worked at bodybuilding shops, we had, you know, people coming in and selling us growth hormone, and it was growth hormone that was prescribed to the kids, and the kids didn't want to take it. So, you know, it's up to you whether you think that's right, but that's sort of how the market works, you know. But MK677 isn't generally prescribed in this country and most countries, but it is starting to be prescribed for growth hormone deficiency. But like I said, it's not going to make you grow taller, but a good thing to remember is Rich Piana. I don't know if you know who he is, a very, very famous bodybuilder that was also very famous online. He was very famous for being very truthful. And one of the things he did was he abused steroids, and he abused things that we talk about as well. So your SARMs, all your research compounds and things like that. And he said specifically he was taking actual growth hormone, and he said he was abusing it. So he's spending thousands and thousands of dollars per week on it. And he was taking way more than you would ever take. I think he was taking like a month's dose every day, basically. And he thought, at that time, he thought it was the be all and end all. Like everyone, I say everyone, a lot of people will come into shops that I used to work in, or, you know, I'm a YouTuber now, so I've got a couple of channels, and they comment and they'd say, oh, I've heard, like, if you do MK677, you're going to be massive and blah, blah, blah. You're not going to get those results. But it's something that you'd put in with other stuff, really. It's, yes, you can take it on its own, and I'll tell you why you might take it on its own, but generally it's stacked with other stuff. But Rich Piana said when he was abusing growth hormone, his head, you know, ended up growing a lot bigger, his nose, his ears, his hands and his feet. And he said, unfortunately not his penis, but, you know, and that is because those are the parts of your bodies that continue to grow, that don't fuse. But everything else, you know, I get the amount of people that ask me, and I'll say, it doesn't make you grow taller. And they go, but I've been told it does. How tall can I get from it? I'm like, you can't get tall from it. So just bear that in mind. You know, if you are an adult, forget about it. If you're a kid, you know, I'm not telling you you should take it, but let's say you did, or it's prescribed by a doctor, it might help you a little bit, but it's something that has to be taken long term. So it's something really that you need from a very young age if you are deficient. Now, the half-life of MK677 is very short. It's around 4 hours. Half-life basically means the amount of time that it takes for half of that supplement to be used in your body. So if we're saying half-life is 4 hours, then it's in your system for 8 hours, and that's long enough because you'll be taking it upon waking. That's how I recommend taking it, or maybe, you know, as late as lunchtime or whatever. And then it's going to be out of your system by the time you go to bed, which is when your body starts producing its own growth hormone. So that's the best time to take it, really. Now, there's been loads of studies done on MK677, and I recommend doing your research if you want to know more about those studies. But essentially, the dosages that work is between 10 and 35 milligrams. Anything more, you're wasting your time. You're not going to get any additional results. But also, people were seeing similar results to taking actual growth hormone, but this is working out cheaper. Now, everyone's different, so it's going to make you produce a different amount of growth hormone to other people. You know, everyone's different. But generally, what I advise is 20 to 30 milligrams per day for 8 to 12 weeks. But you can take it long term. But if you do want to take it long term, then there are certain side effects that you've got to be aware of. But there's ways around it. So there's a few side effects to consider when you're taking MK677, but there's nothing overwhelming, so there's nothing really to worry about. So there can be lethargy, numbness of hands or feet, decrease in insulin sensitivity if abused, really. And it's not really recommended to take it if you are a diabetic, but there are ways around a lot of these side effects. So the first thing is, if you are worried about reduced insulin sensitivity when you're doing a cycle of it, so say you were cycling on and cycling off, maybe you're doing 12 weeks and you're doing a high dose. So you take something called a glucose disposal agent when you have meals with carbohydrates in, and that's going to help with the insulin sensitivity. So you know, every time you have a carb meal or a meal with carbohydrates in it, you take a glucose disposal agent. One of the best or cheapest or easiest to get is something called berberine, and essentially you just take it once you have a high carb meal. Just take that with it, and that sort of deals with the insulin side of things. So, you know, obviously if your insulin levels are reduced, you're going to have issues when it comes to processing carbs, you know, your sugars and things like that. And then that's going to, you know, cause issues in terms of your overall health. You know, you probably put on a load of weight and things like that. But from my research, the way around it all is to actually only dose it Monday to Friday. So if you were doing a high dose, you could just do it Monday to Friday, take the weekends off. And from what a lot of research suggests, and also my own personal research, and also the opinions of doctors and things like that, they say that, you know, most of those side effects, if not all, can be avoided by running it that way. So run it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday off, and then rinse and repeat. Now, that's the same because if you were going to run it long term, you know, growth hormone is something that I know people take long term for anti-aging. You know, it's a lot of people I know who take injectable growth hormone. They don't take it because of the bodybuilders. They take it because they're getting old and, you know, they want to maintain their youth, because growth hormone is something your body naturally produces, as we've discussed. But as you get older, like all of your hormones, your body starts producing less. And that's one of the reasons why you start to age, because when you go to bed at night, the reason why you sleep is your body needs to recover. So growth hormone is like your recovery agent. You know, when you go to sleep, growth hormone comes in. It's like, right, it's maintenance, so it's fixing all your problems and, you know, helping you to recover for the next day, so you wake up feeling great. But if your growth hormone levels are shit, then you're going to wake up feeling shit. And as you get older, that's why, you know, you need to sleep more. That's why you can't train as hard. Obviously, there's other hormones like your testosterone and things like that. But that's what, you know, I know a lot of guys especially, but girls do it as well. Girls can take it. It's not going to have, you know, it's not going to turn you into a bloke like steroids would do. You know, it's something that girls can take as well, or ladies, let's call them ladies. But yeah, it is more growth hormone specifically, you know, MK677 kind of does the same thing. You know, it's something that it doesn't need to be taken by bodybuilders. It can be taken by everyone. It's going to help you to stay healthy for longer, especially as you get into your old age. But if you were doing it for that reason, then I would run it at 10 milligrams per day. And you can do this for a very long period of time, but I would say a maximum of 6 months, and then take a bit of time off. But only if you are doing Monday to Friday and then have the weekends off. If you are running it indefinitely, then I would say 3 months maximum, so you're 12 weeks, and then stop for 4 weeks. But if you're taking it for anti-aging, just because you're getting old, help to keep you active and mobile throughout your older years, then small amount, 10 milligrams, Monday to Friday, and you'll be fine. But obviously anything that you take that interacts with your hormones, just make sure you're regularly getting checked up, you're getting your levels checked by a doctor, or you can do it online now. They can send you a pack and you can get everything tested. So obviously, if you're not doing things like that, then, if something does happen, then it's going to be your fault, really. Now, the problem with abusing MK677 isn't like, say if you abuse testosterone, it's not that bad. There's no, mega issues. Yes, you can, totally fuck up your testosterone production, but, you can get put on doctor prescribed TRT. But if you do mess with MK677, and this includes injectable growth hormone and any peptide that makes you produce more growth hormone, it can actually make you diabetic if you abuse it. So I know, I've had comments on my YouTube channel where people have said, I was talking to someone about this the other day. I was reading an old comment and someone's put on my MK677 video, I'm going to take 40 milligrams a day because I don't care, like lads do, like, I'm going to take loads because I'm a big lad and things like that. Well, they're the guys that have the problems. I know, we're working in supplement shops for years. I've had guys come into me and they just said, I used to be one of those guys that go, I take 10 times more than everyone else because I'm the man. And guess what happens? You fuck yourself up for life. I've spoken to guys who said the body doesn't produce testosterone anymore at all. So they're on doctor prescribed TRT, but that's not it. The issue is the prescription testosterone that they get from their doctor doesn't work as well because they've been on it so long. And then there's another type of testosterone that, because of the alcohol, obviously because there's that alcohol, certain different amounts in different types of testosterone, one type of testosterone really hurt that person when they took it. They get aches and pains. And it's because of the alcohol in it, and that reacted badly to them. Most people will be fine, but that person, and I think it was because they'd been taking it for a long period of time, and they just said they were one of those guys who abused it. So yeah, bear in mind that if you do abuse it, it can bring on diabetes as well. But it is something that I would say it's best taken, if you are just going to take it every now and then, take it when you're on a cycle. Or if you're only taking it on its own, take it when you are going to the gym, you're going to be eating a lot of food and you're looking to put size on. That's when you're going to get the best results out of it. Obviously, if you run it long term for anti-aging, then that's fine. But if you are just looking to run it for bodybuilding purposes, then it's best used in a bulk. Yes, you can use it in a cut, because remember, whether you're bulking or cutting is dependent on your diet. It's not dependent on what steroids or what SARMs you take or whatever. It's your diet. You might go, oh no, I'm on a cutting cycle. But yeah, I'm just eating what I want, really. Well, you're not. Diet first. The diet dictates it. So yes, I'm on a cutting diet. Now I'm going to train, whatever type of training you want to do. And then I'm going to take supplements that support that. Now, MK677 can be put into a cutting cycle, but bear in mind, it's going to increase your appetite for most people for the first 2 weeks. So there is ways around that: high volume, low calorie food. So what does that mean? It means there's a lot more weight to the food, but there's not as many calories in it. So a good example is, let's say you had one Haribo, You could probably get like 4 strawberries out of that. I don't actually know what the exact figure is, but I did see something on TikTok where people were showing like, you know, a handful of sweets in terms of calories, a very small amount, can be worth like a massive amount of salad or vegetables or whatever in terms of the same calories. So obviously high volume, low calorie would be your sort of fruits and vegetables. Not all fruits and vegetables though, just bear that in mind. But obviously when you're looking at sweets and chocolate and things like that, they're high calories, but they're low volume, because especially like a Haribo, it's all those calories in that little bear or whatever it is, like a fried egg. Anyway, MK677, I pretty much think that I've covered most things. Like I say, it's not, you wouldn't say it was anabolic, although it does have a slight anabolic effect. You wouldn't be taking it to grow your muscles bigger. You'd be taking it to help your cycle generally. That's what most people are going to use it for. And if you do use it on its own, you know, a lot of people say, but am I natural if I use MK677 on a cycle? Well, that's up to you. You know, everyone has a different opinion. You know, some sports ban it, so then you're not natural, but some sports it's fine. But what if you're not a sports person? Well, there's a question there, because it's like it makes you produce your own growth hormones. So you could legally argue, you know, like they say with the law, it's your interpretation. You know, you could say, well, it's my own growth hormone. I'm not putting in exogenous growth hormone. I've just taken a supplement that makes me produce more growth hormone. But essentially, in most sports, if they do ban something, you know, they can ban something that does make you produce more of your own hormones. And that's down to them whether they think you're going to get an athletic advantage from it. The thing to remember, you're not really going to get much of an athletic advantage. It's not going to help to boost your strength that much. It's not going to help you to grow bigger muscles as much, but it might give you more energy. It might help you to recover quicker long term. But bear in mind, it is amazing, and the reason why it's one of the most popular supplements is because if you understand what growth hormone does to you, then you'll understand why it really helps bodybuilders. You know, the issue with bodybuilding is it's unnatural. So you need to be taking, you know, banned supplements really to keep up, you know, because you're not supposed to be lifting those weights. It is unnatural. So that's why you need high levels of testosterone. That's why you need high levels of growth hormone. That's why you need to eat more food than a normal person needs to eat, because what you're doing is unnatural. But the question is, will I keep my natty card, my natural status, if I take it? I don't think you will, but a lot of people say, you know, you could take it on a natty plus cycle. So it's like, I'm totally natural, I'm taking MK677. And that's down to you and your friends, because you're not competing in sports. Well, most people aren't. It's up to you. You know, if you can convince people you're still natural, fine. We don't care. I don't care, you know. Do what you want, but that's because I'm not really bothered what people think, whether, you know, I'm natural or not. I just enjoy learning about supplements. I enjoy taking supplements, and I enjoy the positive effect that you get from taking supplements. You know, they totally changed my life, and going to the gym has totally changed my life, and I hope it totally changes your life for the better as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn more about supplements, you know, SARMs, peptides, and loads of other things, make sure you subscribe to the Nordic Labs YouTube channel, which is this one. It's free, so subscribe.